But there is a yellow flag, a very sudden yellow flag. Welcome to round 5 of our 1994 Lotus F1 farewell season in Automobilista 2, where today we will leave Europe for a bit as we travel across the pond to race at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal, Canada. Now, in real life, this was a return to the top step of the podium for Schumacher, while Coulthard, who took over Senna's cockpit after the Imola crash, scored the first points of his career. Our guy Zanardi, well, he was classified 15th, but 7 laps down, so terrible race this one, while Herbert in the other Lotus finished 8th, just 1 lap down and not too far away from the points therefore. And even though we did finish in the points in Spain, I do not dare to aim for that again, since Montreal hasn't been the happiest of hunting grounds for us lately in these F1 seasons. So I go for a top 10 finish once more as the target, which still should be pretty tough though, as we look at the starting grid, and I found a way to actually recreate the proper full starting grid from those races with the AI file. Didn't know you could do that, but well, now you see the actual starting grid from this race without the driver changes, of course, as we want to see Senna and Ratzenberger do the full season. And on the second page then, you will see Zanardi once again starting 23rd. So now, without further ado, let's start the Canadian Grand Prix 1994. Well, and here we are. 5 red lights are on. And there goes the green, and we go racing at Montreal, and we get impeded there by Eric Comas, who had a very poor getaway. Though we find some room on the inside to dive down a couple of cars, we just avoid the other LaRue there of Olivier Beretta, and we leave the first sequence of corners in P19. So again, good getaway, good start. 4 spots already made up, as we are now just behind the footwork of Christian Fittipaldi, who I think is in a group that is battling with her teammate Johnny Herbert, who leads that 3-car battle ahead of us. And into the chicane, I think that is Olivier Panis is trying to make a move. We see a bit of room there on the inside against Fittipaldi, as we have to avoid the rear end of Panis there, who got together with our teammate. And into the hairpin, we are later on the brakes and past Fittipaldi, so up to P18. Now on to the flat out bit towards the final chicane, which back in the day was not just a straight line, but actually a sequence of high speed corners. Now in 1994, after the Imola crashes, there was a temporary chicane built in there. Awful for the flow. Well, these accidents didn't happen in our universe, so yeah, the track remained as it was in 1993. Through the final chicane we already went, and across the line to start lap 2. And the battle between Herbert and Panis still rages on. Herbert isn't giving this position up easily, as he's still alongside the Frenchman, but I think now he has to yield. Drops down to P17, and he is a bit of a cork in the bottle there, holding the drivers behind him up, as there is a bit of a gap forming to the next 3-car battle ahead. Panis is already going to close that gap, but now we get a good run on Herbert. Later on the brakes, we are straightforward move. Important to get this one done clean and early, so we can set after Olivier Panis-Ligier. Well, and as you were able to see there, Herbert in a racy mood today, as he tried to get that position back on the start-finish straight. Well, he did momentarily, but ultimately we have the upper hand in this battle. Now he has to defend from the next cars. Now, I will do something very silly and some silly faces. I was trying to check if the recording was actually on, because I had the fear that it wasn't. But there is a yellow flag, a very sudden yellow flag. And we run into the back of Olivier Panis. There is the footwork of Gianni Morbidelli spun around, and they all just come to a full stop. No one goes off the track to avoid that. And Panis actually, well, I didn't react in time. Maybe because I was checking whether the recording was on or not. But, yeah, at first I thought I didn't take any damage away from this. We will look at the replay later, don't worry. But then here I was finding out that there was some front aero damage, some significant front aero damage, as I'm not nearly able to take these corners flat out. So I will have to come in and get this front wing changed. So a very, very curious accident there. And, well, that was exactly the corner where Panis was going for a move on Herbert in the opening lap, and we just managed to avoid the rear of him. Well, this time we weren't as lucky, and yeah, so we have to get that front wing changed. 17.5 second pit stop. Well, Panis was actually affected way harder by this, because changing a rear wing takes a much longer time. He's still getting that fixed. So we leave in 25th, but at least we're still on the lead lap, so any sort of full cause yellow safety car will bring us back. Now here's a look at that incident. We're looking at the second car. This is Gianni Morbidelli's footwork. And no, don't tell me. Don't tell me it's a Sauber again. It is a Sauber again, causing that whole conundrum behind him. And it is Heinz-Harald Frentzen, the Saubers. Oh, what are they doing this season? Now we look at Olivier Panis, and well, he brakes very early, and I don't know why he had to come to a full stop. Yeah, very unlucky and weird situation. Maybe I could have gotten down the inside, but probably I would have hit someone else. So yeah, I guess Panis and me. Racing incident, because it was also some very weird behavior by all of the AI behind this. But we need to talk about the Saubers. This is the fourth incident caused by them. It all started with Wendlinger's unsafe rejoin at Imola that took me out of the competition there. Then Frentzen spun out Eddie Irvine, the first chicane in Barcelona. And then just 2 laps later, Frentzen again almost took out Wendlinger and me. He did make contact with us, and again there is a situation, and this time I didn't even see which car it was again. It might have been a footwork yet again, so we move up a couple of spots, because this time we actually managed to avoid that. But this is super weird. It's always this corner. Now we have Olivier behind us. This is Eric Bernard. This time we defend into the hairpin, but we manage to stay ahead. Well, and just finishing my point about the Saubers, now again, it is Heinz-Harald Frentzen causing a pile-up behind him by spinning out a car. So a very, very eventful first season of Formula 1 for Heinz-Harald Frentzen, where he didn't make the best of impressions. And we jump ahead in time quite a lot here, as we are starting lap 15, and we were getting blue flags for the first time. Now, for the race leaders, or well, pretty much everyone that didn't stop as early as we did, the first round of pit stops will be coming up shortly. For us, well, we will also need to do another pit stop, because the fuel won't make it, or won't last to the end. We let Schumacher by for now, as he is the race leader at the moment. So we are a lap down, but we will get that lap back, because he will have to stop earlier than we do. And if we manage to follow him, well, we might actually be able to catch up to some more cars ahead of us. So let's see how the following goes out of the hairpin. And already Schumacher has put a couple of car lengths on us. So yeah, bit of a tricky situation. I don't think a top 10 finish without some luck, at least, will be possible. So I think we have to settle for a position somewhere in the top 20s. Don't know how high it will take us. Well, for now, we get more blue flags as we just see some traffic ahead there. We let the two Williams through in the meantime, who are having a terrific scrap for P2. And now here comes the Ferrari of Jean Alesi, which I'll be letting by just here. But that car ahead of us now is actually a car that we're racing for position, as this is the LaRousse of Eric Comas, currently sitting in P19, and we get a terrific run on towards turn 1. We have the outside line, though we're later on the brakes, and we make that move stick. So finally, a move for position and a move on track where, well, we just don't have to avoid an incident to make up 5 positions like we did earlier this race. This one was actually on track and for position. So, a couple of laps later, and the first round, or well, the round of pit stops has begun for pretty much everyone on the normal strategy. So we temporarily move up to P15, and in the excitement I always spun my car out of the long right hand at the start of the lap, kept it together, but now, as we are getting closer to our second pit stop, we're also getting closer to the Minardi of Pierluigi Martini. And I was putting in some personal bets right now, so just enjoy this ride around this pretty exciting track with the walls so close to the edge of the circuit. Well, and there we are now very close to the back end of that Minardi Ford. It will be tight on fuel, though, with the pit stop. Either we have to come in at the end of this lap, or maybe we can squeeze out one more. 7 liters per laps roundabout is what we take. But I won't save fuel now, because I want to make another move on track. Oh, not the greatest exits out of there into one of the better overtaking spots we have seen this race. And late on the brakes, though, we are, as we go past Martini. Well, we leave him the space there on the inside on the second part of that chicane, but we move ahead, and now we lap Ratzenberger, who is even further down than we are. The game recommends me to come in right now. Well, and as I said, it is very tight. I could risk to go for one more, or I could come in. Well, I can tell you right now, I will do a massive mistake now, as I didn't realize during the race. Well, I decided to come in this lap because I just saw full cause yellow coming out, safety car. So I thought, well, this is terrific, absolutely fantastic. I will come in. Don't mind if I do. Well, here is my mistake, though. I come out now, thinking, well, this is great. I can catch up to the back of the queue, and I will maybe even be able to finish in the top 10, maybe even more. And for now, it looks like I'll follow Pierluigi Martini. This is good news. Then it switches to Michael Schumacher. Then I go off the track. This is, well, it doesn't matter, actually, during the safety car period. Well, it did actually matter. I should have stayed out for a lap longer. Well, going through the grass didn't matter, but I should have stayed out for one lap longer, because by then the safety car might have collected Michael Schumacher. I would have had more time for my pit stop, but now I am the first car that is a lap down, and there is no unlapping behind the safety car. So I lose pretty much a lap on anyone, because Pierluigi Martini, the car ahead in P13, is now at the back of the queue. I'm at the very front of the queue, and there is an entire lap between us. So this was a crucial mistake. I should have gone for one more lap, because then I would have been ahead of the safety car. I had more time, as Schumacher had to go at reduced speeds. And yeah, I didn't realize at that moment. So that was pretty much my race done. At least I think so, as I led Damon Hill. By the way, the safety car was caused by an engine blowout for Ayrton Senna, which is huge for the championship. He did stop on track, and this is why the safety car came out. And this might be huge and consequential for the championship. Schumacher had the same thing happen to him at Imola, so it's 1-1 in case of mechanical retirements for Schumacher and Senna. Hill doesn't have such a retirement, and with his win in Barcelona, he's right back in the championship fight. So he might be a big benefactor of this, as he's now chasing down the Michael. Well, we try to stay with them and don't lose a lap on too many cars. We have to let Jean Lazy by, who is the only Ferrari still in competition here. Gerhard Berger had an issue early on and pitted early, so he's running somewhere in the back. And now let's try to follow Jean Lazy to not lose a lap on more cars behind us. This is frustrating because we're not too much slower than the top three. Look at that, I even have a little look there on the Lazy. And then there was yet another safety car. And even more frustrating, I had the idea, well, there is one characteristic of this track which might help us get a lap back. I could go through the pits because it's essentially a shortcut. We are going slower than 120 on the straights behind the safety car. So I could just go through the pits and probably get that lap back. I should have done so, though, in that first safety car period, because right now it just switches and says, well, race is going to restart at the end of this lap. I wanted to do it this time around to at least get my lap back, but I didn't, because the safety car already ended. So another opportunity that I didn't take. So two big mistakes I made during that first safety car period, where things could have gone much more differently. But yeah, my brain just wasn't working fast enough. I was coming up with these cheeky solutions only when it was too late. So again, restarts. This time I didn't even try to go for a move on Jean Lazy. Maybe I get lucky once more and there is another safety car, but who are we kidding? It's just 6 more laps to go. So yeah, there is absolutely nothing happening for me this race. I made the mistake during that first safety car period. Just should have stayed out for 1 lap longer and I would have been fine. Well, it is what it is now. We have to live with it. I mean, P14 is still a decent result, considering we had a crash on lap 3. We had to take 1 extra pit stop. So I still think it's a decent result, but yeah, with that safety car, it might have been much, much better. Now we even have to let the cars battling for P4 by, which are Rubens Barrichello and Mika Hakkinen. Well, yeah. As you can tell, I pretty much have given up on this race by now, but by letting these two by, there was a small upside actually, because now we have box seats to one of the most exciting fights there in these late stages of this race, which is the battle for P4 between Barrichello and Häkkinen. I was keeping up with them, which is even more frustrating because that again means we had the pace to score points, but we didn't because I was too stupid. And there we go, Barrichello down the inside there of the hairpin of Häkkinen back into P4, and I will let you enjoy that battle from my perspective as I follow them around the circuit for the last couple of laps here. Well, and now as we go towards the hairpin for a final time, this is probably where this battle will be decided. Now we will finish this race a lap down, so this is why this is our last lap of the race. They're already in lap 35 as Barrichello is once again going for a move down the inside of Häkkinen, and I think he's taking it. Let's see, can Häkkinen get a run back on him towards the final chicane? For the moment, it doesn't look like it. Oh, I think... Oh, he's having a look. Häkkinen down the inside of Barrichello. Does he dare to fully pull it through? He doesn't. So he settles for 5th, as that battle was a nice watch there to the end of the race as we finish in P14, but in sight of the podium actually, which is, yeah, all the more frustrating. So let's look at the point scorers of this race, and Hill again in the final laps of this race snatched the lead away from Michael Schumacher to win 2 races in a row. Brundle finishes P6, which is his first point of the season. And in the Drivers' Championship, that means that Schumacher and Hill are now equal on points, 32 each. Senna still in contention, 8 points down, so still within a race win, and we are not even at the halfway point of the season yet, so this is promising to be an exciting 3-way title fight after 5 races into this championship. And then here we are still 9th, equal on points also with Martin Brundle, but thanks to our P8 finish, which is our second best finish outside of the points, we are still ahead on countback on Brundle. In the Constructors' Championship, Williams is now 20 points clear of Benetton, who rather have to look behind them, as Ferrari is only 16 points behind the team named after the clothing company, McLaren in 4th, and Jordan and Lotus, the other two teams that have scored points so far. And that has been it with the Canadian Grand Prix 1994. For the next race, we will return to Europe as we go racing at the Silverstone circuit in Great Britain. I hope to see you all there. Leave a like if you did enjoy this video and subscribe to not miss any race happening on this channel. So all that's left for me to say is goodbye and see you all the next time.